to change, you filthy animal.
Yippee-ki-yay!
You Virginia doubt fair, dear.
Shaken, not stirred.
You talking to me?
You're a wizard, Harry.
I volunteer as tribute.
Sometimes I doubt your commitment to spoken motion.
Deirdre Chambers. What a coincidence.
That's so fat.
How rude.
Wakanda forever!
Welcome back, my darlings, to Not My Genre, the Fire Teller Film Review. It's episode 37, and today we are doing Bridesmaids.
I know, 10th anniversary edition. It's been
10
10 years. Can you believe it? Since
years.
2011, since this film made hundreds of millions of dollars at the box office. It
tell
was
you-
one of the most successful comedies.
Seriously.
I
I tell you what, I feel like it only came out yesterday. I mean, what's going on? We're
Yeah.
getting too old.
You're getting old.
What? Excuse me?
Excuse me, when you get older, I get younger.
You are being so rude to me today. Look, Will, can you tell us a little bit about Bridesmaids, please?
Sure. Bridesmaids, the synopsis, it's about an out-of-work pastry chef called Annie who finds that her best friend's getting married, Lillian, and she begins somewhat of a feud with one of the other bridesmaids who is the epitome of success, Helen.
Helen.
And I should also say, who are we? You can tell
Who
me about
are we?
Bridesmaids. But wait.
Did I even
For
say
anyone
that?
that hasn't listened to Not My Genre before, we are Fireteller. We're a film production business from
Fire
Perth.
Teller Film and Story.
Fireteller Film and Story. That is our full name.
That's
And
it.
we make all sorts of videos.
We
Check
do.
out fireteller.com for more stuff.
Go check it out. Now, listen, our podcast, for those who've just tuned in, we did rebrand last time, just really quickly. We give 3 scores. We don't just give 1, we give 3.
3.
Now, we're going to start off. We're going to start off with our first impressions score. Then we'll give a story score. We're going to talk a little bit about the meat,
Yeah.
the meat in the sandwich.
We like to deep dive into the
Deep
mechanics of story
dive.
and see how this was really working on a micro
Jump
level.
in, pull it apart,
Yep.
break it down. Then we'll give our final, what do we call the score now? The Not My Genre,
Well, we call it the Not My Genre score.
the NMG.
We're still getting used to this whole rebranding thing, so bear with us.
God, never apologize for anything, Will.
I didn't.
Well,
I
good.
just said bear with us.
Well, good.
Just put up with it.
Fantastic.
All right?
Fantastic.
And you come back and listen to the next podcast.
Okay, all right, let's get into it. Look, Will, what was your first impression score? Now,
Well-
let's just say, I've personally seen this about 5,000 times.
Oh, really? Exactly 5,000?
Exactly, well, yeah, I have.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I've seen this a lot of times too, so it's very hard to get a first impressions with this one. What are we
is.
doing for this time? Because usually we
Well-
see new films that we haven't seen before.
Okay, let's go back. Let's try and remember
Hmm.
the first impression we had when we first saw this movie. Did I see it with you? I can't even remember.
No, you didn't. I saw it with my housemates, Jack and Eugenie.
Oh, I can't
Actually,
remember.
for some reason I remember that because I remember my cheeks just hurting so much
Yeah,
from laughing.
God, it was fun. God, it's a funny movie. Can I tell you something about me? I like talking about me, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
I don't remember, like usually ever, who I see movies with.
Yeah, you don't remember that?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I remember the movie. I remember where I saw the movie, but I don't remember who I saw it with.
Right.
Isn't that strange?
Wow. Yeah, because you only think about yourself.
I only think about the movie.
Okay.
There
Well,
you
look,
go.
let's frame it like that for now.
Let's-
That's probably better.
Stop it. You're being very rude to me. I'm not very
it's my
happy
job.
with you today. Okay, so look, try and think back. What was your first impression score? What do you think
Honestly,
it was?
I would have been. I remember loving this film. So this is
Yeah.
a 9 out of 10 film for me.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 9 too.
Yeah, it was. I didn't have to think much about it. This
Yep.
was a great film.
Totally. And can I tell you, every single time, I'm sure you're the same, every single time that I've gone and rewatched Bridesmaids, my score doesn't go down.
I know, right? Isn't
Doesn't
that
go down.
funny?
In
I mean, I
fact-
don't think you could watch it like every day for a week. But
No. No.
you watch it every so
Oh, look,
often, and it's still
You watch it
pulls the
once or
laugh.
twice a year, whatever.
because it's
But
so bloody ridiculous.
and you notice new things, and it just gets more and more funny.
yeah, exactly.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
great.
Fantastic. Okay, so we've set the bar high.
Yeah.
Shall we deep dive?
So everyone, what we're going to do now is we're going to look at the story and we're going to see will our score change before
Yeah.
we give that final Not My Genre score.
Yeah.
So I think one of the really interesting things about this film is as a comedy, it's not just there for the laughs. It's not just there to make you, laugh for no reason, just to throw some slapstick at you and just do whatever. This actually has a lot of heart.
A
this
lot
film.
of comedies do
They
that.
do, yeah. What I love about Bridesmaids is there is actually quite a good story written behind all the stuff that's happening on the surface.
Yeah. Directed by Paul Feig, by the way.
Right, let's get into that first.
Yeah.
So we always like to speak a bit about the cast and the crew. So directed by Paul Feig, who's done Freaks and Geeks in the past, the TV series. That's probably where he got his start. So that was also the launch pad for James Franco and for Seth Rogen as well.
Fantastic.
And Paul Feig was also the one in charge of that Ghostbusters remake, the all-female Ghostbusters remake in
which
2016.
also had Melissa McCarthy
It did, yeah.
and Kristen Wiig in it, who
There
are
you go.
also in this movie.
That's right.
Now, this movie was also written by Kristen Wiig.
It was. And
Of Saturday Night Live.
That's
fame.
right. Yeah, Saturday Night Live and films like The Skeleton Twins and The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. But, you know,
Did
this
she write The Secret Life of
No, she was in The Secret
Oh,
Life.
my God.
She was an actress in it.
Stop it. We were just talking about her writing it.
I know. We were talking about her writing. But also, Annie Momolo, who is
Right,
the
who's
sort
that?
of the unknown,
Oh,
writer
she wrote
here.
Joy.
She wrote Joy, that's right.
J-Law.
Yes.
That's
But
a good movie.
Did you know Annie Momolo was the woman on the plane in Bridesmaids who gets anxiety? The one.
No!
Yeah, that's the writer.
That's her.
That's
I've
her.
seen her in a few things. She's so
funny. She's so good. Like she needs to be more of an
almost
actress.
steals the whole show. No,
Exactly.
I've seen her in a
that
few
scene in the plane where she was like, "I had a dream. The plane was going to crash.
You were in it.
You're in it."
Oh, wow. There you go. I didn't know that. I should know
That's
that.
her. Yes.
Fantastic.
And of course, produced by Judd Apatow. Barry
Knocked Up.
Mendel, Clayton Townsend, Judd Apatow, of course, the most famous on the list. Knocked Up, the 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Yeah.
Very famous in the comedy world, Hollywood comedy world.
Can I ask, have you ever seen arguably the most famous Saturday Night Live clip?
Oh, you mean with Kirsten Wiig?
Yeah,
I'm
about
so
the
excited.
surprise.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
Just
Surprise.
so freaking excited.
Freaking excited.
I love that.
Oh my God, so funny. If
I
you haven't
know.
seen it, go
It's
go
just,
Google.
yeah,
It's so funny.
Her character.
Yeah.
We should also say this film has Australian Rose Byrne in it, playing Helen, and Melissa McCarthy, who we just mentioned, playing Megan, and Maya Rudolph. This is the first time that I saw Maya Rudolph.
First time I saw Maya Rudolph as well.
Maya Rudolph, sorry.
Now, she was so funny in this movie, and we're going to get into it, but she doesn't really have much of a role at all.
Yeah, that's something we're going to mention.
I'm interested to know. I'm actually interested to go and count how many scenes she's in.
Yeah, I
to
know,
be
right?
honest.
Yeah.
Because I don't think she's actually in that many, to be honest, compared to the other bridesmaids.
Yeah, but I think this is actually a good thing too, because it's not really about.
Oh, it's not about her.
It's about Annie. It's about how Annie's dealing with herself.
That's right. That's
not
right.
their relationship in the end.
Totally.
It masquerades as a story about their relationship, but it's not really.
It's not really. Now, I'm sure you're going to have your take on it, but I'm going to throw it out there. After Annie, obviously she's the central hero of the entire story. I think that the two most important characters in this whole film are obviously Helen and Megan. Okay?
Megan.
It's Megan. It's actually calls
it's
herself
Megan.
Megan. Okay.
Megan. Okay, so I must have missed that.
Yeah,
Shit,
she talks
I've always
about
called her Megan.
It's Megan. Megan.
All right, yeah.
You
I
can
know.
say
Look,
Megan if
you know
you
what
want
you
to.
said. I might have my own opinion, but I completely agree with you. They are the two crucial characters in this. Now, in Love and Monsters, the review we did last podcast, we actually talked a lot about values. Did you have a perspective on what values these characters might represent and how they sort of, create the world that Annie exists in? Is there something you'd like to say about that?
Well, I mean, like we disclaimed last time, like we obviously don't know Paul Feig. I'd really love to know him, by the way.
Yeah.
That'd be fantastic. And Kristen Wiig.
Yeah.
So we don't actually know, we don't know exactly what they were trying to say.
And Judd Apatow too. They actually met on weekends to write this script together.
So everything that we say is obviously our interpretation. Now, I believe, and I think that you'll agree with me, Will, that this is a order versus intuitive understanding story.
Yeah, it is.
I
absolutely is.
think that this is a story about what's her name, Annie.
Yeah.
Kristen Wiig's character, who places so much worth on things like the success of her business.
Yeah.
How
Money.
her friendship, who she's having sex with, those things. That's what
and what it looks like too. The surface, how that is perceived.
100%. I mean, that's what you find so funny about this is that So can I just say that I've been sick the last...
Okay.
I've literally...
It's happened.
It's happened.
You were trying to get through this podcast without mentioning it, but... you poor thing.
Listen, I've spent about 4 days in bed. There was
it's just crazy.
3 days there I
Okay.
didn't get out of bed.
Yeah, we're segueing.
I
here,
was
people.
that sick. So I'm fucking struggling right now. But anyway.
You're doing really well. Let's
Thanks.
get through it. So can I just elaborate? Can I just go
for
on
it.
top of what you're saying?
Go for
Order versus intuition, intuitive understanding. We're talking about stories, like you said, Annie values all those things on the surface, like those things like status and wealth. But ordered people, it comes from an idea of that you value those things. So you value status, you value like military, you value honor and certain definitions of honor.
Totally.
How you fit within a system. And so it's kind of a mathematical perception in some ways.
Totally.
Like we say, it's ordered, and this is in direct contrast to intuitive understanding, which is sort of seeing beyond. It's not just seeing things as they are.
Knowing that you're going to be okay, that you are worthy despite those things.
That's right.
There's a really key moment in this film. And I believe it's the scene when Annie and Lillian, Maya Rudolph's character, stop accidentally outside Cake Baby.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
If it's not that scene, it's not far away from that scene. Where you see her connect her ex-boyfriend to the financial crash and what happened to Cake Baby. Cake Baby is a business that Annie had, and during the financial crisis, she obviously had to close the doors. She went broke. And when that happened, her partner at the time, we'd never find out about this guy, we never meet him, broke up with her. And so that kind of acts like a ghost to her as an
it's like
incident.
A bit of past trauma.
It kind of tells her that she's only worthwhile.
Right. She's only lovable.
She's only lovable if she is successful.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so clear that they set that up with this movie.
Yeah. Oops, we accidentally walked down the wrong street. No, it's fine.
I've got a feeling it's not actually in that scene, but they,
Oh, right.
But it is absolutely revealed about the ex.
Yeah.
Which is kind of sad. Can I tell you something about order versus intuitive stories? Is that they're just so relatable.
I know they are.
You know?
They? We all get so caught up in these things that we think that we find our worth in. Things that really, when you have that realization, when you have that big epiphany, you realize.
Epiphany?
Actually,
Are you frothing at mouth today?
I'm frothing. Epiphany. You realize that those things aren't what's important. You find the Tao, what we call the Tao. You find a different way to live.
Absolutely. And can I segue? I like to segue a little bit, particularly coming from the gay community. I think we put so much value, generally, by the way. But Will and I are both gay, so we can say this. And I was a victim of this myself. Is that we put so much worth on we used to what we look like. Our age, how much money we earn, things like that. I'm sure it's very similar in lots of other niche communities as well. But I relate to that. I really do.
Yeah. I think one thing that is an element of an ordered
you keep
value,
talking about elephants today. It's very strange.
One thing about an ordered value is that it's not just, like I was saying, the army and military and rank, but it's also just fitting in. It's just that ability just to fit in.
Totally.
So,
absolutely.
It could be as simple as a high school teenager that's just feeling completely left out, not included, and not accepted, and thinks that he has to change himself to fit in. Yeah. So, that's what's really interesting about the ordered value.
I mean, basically, instead of her trying so hard to fit in, she needs to find a way to fit in with herself.
Yeah, that's right. To stand out. To be herself, and in that way, fit in.
Or not stand out, but just be okay with either just being her.
Yeah.
Just knowing that she is worth it, regardless of how much money she's got.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter, if she's standing next to Helen. It doesn't matter.
That's right.
Now that leads us on to a very, very important character, and that is Helen.
Right? I was going to say Officer Rhodes, the one who helps her appreciate her self-worth.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about Officer Rhodes?
I don't think there's too much to mention with him. Because we've got a lot to say. But look, he does come into a few key scenes, and especially he's an oracle character, I think.
I was going to guess what you were going to say, but no, you say.
Did you guess right?
I thought you were going to say something else, so I didn't know.
Okay, I think he comes into a few key scenes where Annie really has to understand and realize her worth.
Yeah,
there's a few characters that do. Megan, obviously Megan comes in at key moments, but if we are talking about Officer Rhodes, then he is there to help Annie realize that.
I just want to throw something at you. I want to say I know which scene that you're talking about with Officer Rhodes. There's the one in the bar.
Yeah.
And I get that. I think that Officer Rhodes was not written as well.
Yeah, I agree.
As Megan was. Yeah. If anything, if you really kind of stand back and just look at both those characters, they're essentially exactly the same character.
That's right.
But if you get down deeper into it, you kind of see Officer Rhodes as representing, obviously he's a police officer, representing law and order.
Yeah.
But in almost a kind of almost a perverted way. Like, do you remember that scene where she drops the carrot on the ground and he's just like, oh, no, I just have to pick that up. You know what I mean? It's almost like he's kind of too much of that, which kind of doesn't work for me as a mentor character.
That's right.
No, I know he does play an oracle at certain points. So I'm agreeing with you, but I'm just saying that I think he could have been written so much better. I think. Because there just doesn't seem to be much of a balance between that order and that self-worth.
Right,
I think.
I would have preferred for him to be someone that straddles the middle ground between intuitive understanding and order, you know, like that actually had understood how to balance the two.
Right.
But you're right, he actually seems more like a perverted version of order.
Yeah, I mean, they could have explored him so much more, I think. But then there's Megan.
Yeah, Megan, who also seems to represent an ordered binary because
does she or doesn't she?
Well, because she works as a cop in law enforcement, as a writer. So
no, she's not a cop. She works for the government.
The government, but she's like in the Secret Service or something like that.
Yes. Now, I think that she, I believe her to be the balance of all four.
Right.
Now, we haven't spoken about that today. Do you want to quickly just rehash from last podcast?
Sure. So we were just talking about two values that are in direct conflict with each other, but there's also there's actually four values that exist. You know, you can have that all sort of synergize together to balance with each other. So they're in two sets of two pairs. So we've got order versus intuitive understanding, and we've got a feeling value versus a courage value. Strength value. I'm sorry.
There you go.
Feeling versus strength.
I think that she plays a much more key role in this movie than Officer Rhodes does, to be honest. I mean, she's literally the character that is at the revelation. She's the one that literally gets on top of her and slaps her about and says, this is your life, Annie. This is your life attacking you. What are you going to do?
Which is a great character at that point, you know?
It's so good. And then she tells that amazing story about herself, Megan, when she was a kid and how she used to be teased for what she looks like.
Yeah.
But in that moment, she says, she literally says a line, I know it's hard to believe that people would think, you know.
Yeah, because she's become so Tao and so balanced that she's forgotten what it used to be like.
It doesn't matter that she's overweight. It doesn't matter what she's wearing, what she looks like. And she isn't the most attractive character in this one. She is so full of self-worth that it doesn't matter. She's just like, you know, I am me.
Yep.
You see her in the scene on the plane when she's going after the air marshal. She's all sex. You know,
she has no self-doubt.
No self-doubt. She's just like, I am me. And you know, and in terms of intuition as well, she knows that he's the air marshal.
Yeah.
She just knows.
You're right.
Right? When we first meet Megan, do you remember...
Sorry, I should just say that a character that is the Tao, they have all those four values, so they can express them and they manifest within that character.
Yeah.
So she's manifesting intuitive understanding there.
Totally.
She's manifesting the ordered value.
Absolutely. And one of the most funny... my grammar's terrible today. One of the funniest stories is when we first meet Megan, and she says she fell off a cruise ship, and she just hit every level all the way down. And when she splashed into the water, she met a dolphin, Annie. Do you remember?
I remember that
and that
scene.
dolphin spoke right into my soul.
So good.
You know, I'm assuming telepathically.
Yeah.
So she's talking there, you know, she's talking there about life hitting you in the face.
Yeah.
But intuitively knowing that no matter what comes at you, no matter what hits you, the financial crisis, breaking up with your boyfriend, falling off a friggin' cruise ship, you can pick up and you know deep down inside that you are okay and that you're still worth something.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we see that in the first minute that we meet Megan. I think she's a really special character and I think my favorite character in this story.
Now, just segueing away from all four of those values synergizing, just to talk about the two values that aren't the key values here, the sort of the background values.
The secondary binary.
The secondary binary, that's right. So I was talking about it was a strength versus feeling secondary binary.
Totally. What do you think it is specifically? I didn't really
that's
think
actually
too
a hard
much about
question because
that.
usually when we're writing our stories, it actually takes a little bit of time to really work out what these key values are.
Yeah, you really
and
have
how
to
they're expressed.
dive very deep for that.
I mean, I think definitely for the feeling value, I think it's going to have to be something around love and friendship because Annie just has so much love and friendship for Lillian, so connected.
Totally.
You know that she's so happy for her when she gets engaged.
Totally.
And you know that never wavers really.
Yeah.
That she's always got that love.
Totally. And I think that on the flip side of that, in conflict with that, is sexuality. Is just... Sorry, what's the character's name? Rita.
Rita.
Rita,
Oh, right,
the character
right.
Rita. She's basically Samantha from Sex and the City.
Yeah, yeah.
Arguably the same character.
So, do you want to just explain why you suddenly segued to talking about Rita?
Sorry, I thought we were talking about the secondary binary.
We are. I'm talking about Annie having the value of connection and love.
Well-
but you're trying to talk about the secondary characters and how
Okay.
they represent the secondary binary.
Look, it's still the same. Look,
It's the same thing.
Okay.
So there's two other bridesmaids.
Yep.
Nathan's actually, what he means to say is that the one of them, the geeky kind of housewife, actually represents a value of love and connection.
What's that character's name again?
Her name is Becca.
Becca, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, and she's best friends with her husband. You know,
Yes,
they-
that's
they-
right. So she manifests that connection.
Totally, but
love
they're
value.
not having sex.
That's right.
Then you meet Rita,
Yeah.
who's the complete opposite. She
Yeah.
she hates her husband, but
Yeah.
he enters her.
Well, yeah, that's right.
Constantly.
I love that line.
You know,
Yeah, I know.
And those two characters together.
The sex is constant. I just want to watch the TV without him entering me.
I know.
love that
I had to
line.
break the towel in half to understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
When those two characters, Rita and Becca, are put together, I mean, they really, really work.
Yeah.
You can see
Yeah.
why they're doing it.
That's right.
I will say, though, sorry.
No, you're saying something.
Yeah,
Go on.
I was going to say that I again felt that those two characters were underutilized.
Oh, we barely see them.
And
This
I
is a
think
really
that
important
as
point.
funny as they are, you could probably completely delete them from the story
That's
altogether.
true. Yeah, they are just there for a bit of comedic extra value. And I have to say, like, why weren't they in the tennis scene in the beginning of Act 2? Like, I just don't
Yes.
get this. Like, it's the first scene of Act 2. It's almost the first scene.
Get it together,
And
Carol!
there's these random women playing tennis with Helen and Annie that never appear ever in the story ever again.
I know.
Why not use Becca and Rita
It
for this?
should have been. That's like such a good point.
It
Will.
would have been way better. It must have been
fantastic.
casting conflicts or something like that
know.
because it's so obvious.
I
I
know.
can't believe they wouldn't do that. But I just wanted to say, like, just to elaborate on what you were saying about how Becca was symbolically representing this value of love and connection, and Rita was that value of pure, courageous sexuality.
Yeah.
I've forgotten what I was going to actually say there.
That's
Maybe that
okay.
was the point. That's
You
what they
made a
represent.
point. That's all right. Look, well, can I just say, we're working on a massive project at the moment.
Oh, we
and
are.
I've also been sick for 4 days. Did I mention?
And I also worked till midnight last night.
Jeez, were you?
Yeah.
Seriously, God, and I was in bed. So
You were resting from your cold.
our brains are a little bit aflutter. There you go. Now, I just want to move on to one of the best characters ever, and I think it's Helen.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I know.
Um,
I mean, Rose Byrne at this time, who plays Helen, wasn't
Oh
really
my-
famous at this point. She'd
She
done
wasn't.
Damages, which was the TV show with Glenn Close,
Oh yes.
and she'd obviously done a few Australian productions because she's Australian. We love our Australians.
Was she in I Am Mother?
She was the voice of the robot.
Oh right, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Cool, fantastic. Now, can I just say, when I first saw this movie, I didn't know about Rose Byrne. It was, a long
Oh,
time
wow,
ago.
okay.
Or I
Yeah.
did, and I just didn't even
Yeah,
recognize her because the character was just so well done. She's so
A
evil.
flawless American accent, obviously.
Yeah, she's so evil in her niceness.
Yeah.
It's just so great to watch. I've said this to you before. I mean, there are some of my top antagonists ever.
Yeah, you love your antagonists.
My absolute two favorite, obviously Miranda Priestley and Bryce Dallas Howard from The Help. Hello, but Helen isn't too far behind.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
I watched The Help recently. I don't know what you're talking about with
Oh
Bryce
my
Dallas
gosh.
Howard. I don't know what
What
you're
is-
talking
what
about.
is wrong with
She's
you?
great, but she's not one of the best villains
She
ever.
is one of the best ever.
Okay.
Get in the corner, it's the father of the mouth.
Okay, Helen. Yeah, Helen is excellent, and she's just played so well
Yeah.
in this role by Rose Byrne.
Now, what's really interesting about Helen is that for years before you and I really sort of got right down deep into values, you and I, let's say 5 years ago,
Mike, can I just say, values sound so boring, but
It
actually
does.
they're
It's
really
really
interesting.
interesting.
So bear with us.
I feel like
Keep
I'm in an
going.
English literature class here. Jesus Christ. You and I would have said that Helen is the impact character.
Oh, right.
Now,
Yeah.
when we say impact, we usually use that in the way of the character that represents the missing value.
Yeah, and
But-
most antagonizes with the protagonist.
Not most, but a
Well,
lot,
a lot,
a
yeah.
lot are that.
Yeah.
Particularly if they're not so evil. Like Bryce Dallas Howard is obviously very, very evil,
Yeah,
and so is
yeah.
Miranda Priestley. But Helen isn't. She's more of a friend sort of a character.
It does appear that way. Yeah.
But when you really look at it, and you break it down, you realize that she is absolutely not at all representing self-worth.
oh yeah.
What she represents is the absolute neuroses.
Yeah. Yeah.
of
Which means the lack of.
the lack of. She is Annie.
Yeah.
Helen is the place that Annie will end up
Yeah.
if she does not find her own self-worth.
Which all great villains usually are.
That's right. So when we first meet Helen, which is so funny, that first moment you see Helen with her hair and the dress and coming
she
towards...
obviously values status, wealth.
Hugely.
She's got to that point where it's so perverted.
It's so perverted. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
The perfect hair, perfect nails, perfect
sipping
skin.
the pink lemonades at the end scene. But when she comes
that's
into
fresh.
the country club
Oh,
at
yes.
the beginning, when she first meets Helen.
That's so funny. And of course, Annie, who also values the same thing, but isn't that, sees Helen and just goes, Jesus.
Yeah.
I've got some competition
Yeah.
here. But it's not really until the end that we realize how much self-worth Helen herself is actually missing.
That's right. Yeah.
In fact, arguably even more so than Kristen Wiig's character, which you would assume because she is sort of the heightened villainous version that Annie is.
Yeah.
I really, really feel for Helen.
Yeah,
don't you?
I know you do in the end there, where she actually is really alone. She doesn't have any.
Yeah.
Actually, she's alone, but she also doesn't have any self-confidence really under all those layers.
Totally. And this is why she even says that line that people get me to do their parties and their engagements because they just know I'm so good at it, because I can just bring all the material stuff in and put it on. I don't really have any good friends.
Yeah.
All Helen wants is to just have some really true friends.
Yeah.
Is just to have a couple of children that don't tell her to fuck off at the tennis club.
Yeah.
Do you know
right.
what I mean? Beautifully written character. Yeah. That's all I have to say about Helen.
Well, I think just to elaborate on that, I think Helen really wants to be appreciated for who she is. She wants to be loved for who she is too, just like Annie.
She's
So
I think she is Annie. I think she's the same character, just further along.
Yep.
I do like that she's called Helen, as in Helen.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I got
That's
that.
pretty
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Did you get that?
That was
Will?
clever.
Did you get it?
Yeah, it was great.
Like the chicken Henrietta in one of our films.
Henrietta, Little Boy Blue, a 30-minute horror thriller film we made. We named the hen Henrietta.
No, you named the family the Hendersons.
Yeah.
Then you named the chicken Henrietta. It must have taken me about 12 months to pick up on that because they ran a chicken farm. I remember going to you going, do you realize that and you're like, duh. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so stupid.
Wasn't a coincidence. Sorry.
God. Hey, listen, we didn't really talk much about story today, but we have spoken about characterization.
We have talked
values.
about it, but there was one point that's actually quite a quick point for me to make, because I know we got to wrap it up, but yes, we have talked a lot about character development. One thing to do with structure that I really wanted to talk about was that this film is actually quite well structured too. So we have our 32 points, which sounds like a lot of points, but we have a sort of system of structure that we follow. And in this one thing I just want to point out that's very clear is that it has a fantastic threat split sequence on the airplane.
Now, threat split is the second point that happens in Act 2. We have 4 acts, by the way.
Yeah. So that would make it the 10th point.
The 10th
along.
point. The 10th point along.
And in this in the infamous plane scene where Annie gets completely drunk and they have to land the plane before even making it to the hen's party in Vegas. This is a really key scene because it leads to Annie's actions lead to a complete defeat, where she is really, which is the next point, number 11, where she's really sort of, that friction between her and Maya Rudolph, her friend, is really beginning.
This is the scene on the bus.
In the bus, that's right.
This is when she loses the maid of... Oh, no, she doesn't actually lose...
She doesn't lose her yet, no.
Lose the role, but she loses the... what does she lose?
Well, she doesn't... She
asks her not to plan anything anymore.
That's right. She says she feels like it's becoming a bit too big for her.
That's right. That's right.
So, in that
Helen's taking over.
Helen's taking over, that's right. So, we've already had a bit of tension after the shitting in the street scene, where she...
One of the funniest scenes ever.
Oh, no, it's happening. It's happening.
It's happening. She's shitting in the street.
Jesus
It's
coming out of me like lava!
Stop. Don't stop
Okay.
it. I've just been sick.
It's coming out of you like lava.
Jesus.
But yeah, so what I'm saying is that after that, tensions are already high, and this leads to a defeat. Then this leads to a beautiful oracle scene with Officer Rhodes, which points her in a new direction. Well, that could have been written better. But essentially what I'm saying is that it's got a few key structural moments that really work for this story.
I completely agree with you. I'm going to throw another one at you. I think it has a really great nadir.
Yes, yeah.
Now, the nadir
lowest point.
is the lowest point. A lot of people call it the wasteland. It's a place that somebody ends up when they've come up against their greatest fear and they have chosen badly in a moment. We call it the failure to launch. And because of that, they have a consequence where shit just gets the worst ever.
Yeah.
And there's a line, right? She moves home with her mum and she says, Mum, remember that time that I said I'd hit rock bottom? And the mum goes, yeah. She goes, no, that wasn't rock bottom. This is rock bottom.
Yeah. Can I just say, did you notice that when you watched Bridesmaids again recently that stuff was cut out? That scenes were cut out?
I didn't notice. Tell me about that.
Okay, because I remember when I saw it at the cinemas, I remember there's a really funny scene at the beginning when there's the gym instructor scene. You remember when they're trying to copy the base camp?
Is this just a Mandela effect?
I don't know. It could be a Mandela effect. But basically, there's a scene where they sort of do this dance together. That Annie and Maya in the park, they hold hands and they're like, we're dancing.
No,
we're
that's
dancing.
it. No. It's in it.
It is in it, but it's from a really wide shot and you never get a close-up of them dancing. But I swear there is a close-up where they're dancing and you actually see them dance for a few seconds and that something's been cut out of this story.
Okay.
I think, out of this film.
You might be right. I don't remember that though. I think it's funny that they did it from a wide shot.
Yeah, okay.
I think it's funny seeing it from the coach's perspective. To be honest.
Okay.
Yeah,
well, there you go.
I always laugh out loud in that.
Yeah,
I just think
the
that's
dancing,
so funny.
It's so good. Story score. Have you got one?
Story score. Yeah, look, I'm going to give it a 9.
I'm giving this a 9 too. It is really well written.
So
it has
good.
its flaws, but yeah, it's not much,
every
right?
story has a flaw. There's not.
Or can you really say it's a flaw, or it just does things a little bit differently?
I'm only taking my point away for 2 reasons. For Officer Rhodes, I thought, as I said, could have been developed more.
I would have had Megan at that Oracle scene, actually.
I would have had. Well, no.
Did you like her being?
No, I liked that they saved her for the revelation.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I think that was stronger to have her there. And as I said, I would have either gotten rid of those secondary binary characters or developed them further.
Okay.
So that's why I'm taking a point off.
Interesting.
Cool. Well, that brings us to the end. Oh, no,
Nice.
it doesn't. We have got the NMG score.
We do, but fun fact, Melissa McCarthy and Ben Falcone, who's the air marshal, are actually husband and wife in real life.
No.
Yeah. They actually
No,
are
they're
husband and
not.
wife, and they were during the making of this film. So that's why they
Really?
get sexy together in the final scenes. Yeah,
Wow.
husband and wife.
I
There you
had
go.
no idea. Jeez.
And Maya Rudolph was actually pregnant with her 3rd child during the filming of this. Do you know? They actually had to cover her stomach.
Seriously,
Yep.
I had no idea.
Can't tell.
Had no idea.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Interesting.
So what's your NMG score? Has it changed? So we both started with a 9. We gave story a 9. Has your score changed?
It has to be a 9,
Has
pretty
to be
much.
a 9.
Honestly, people listening to
to be
this
a 9.
podcast for the first time are going to be like, okay. But usually our scores go up and down here, you know,
Yeah.
and and sometimes they're not even an average of the 2 scores. They actually are something different.
Yeah. Yeah. So this could be the first time we've all given 9s across the
999.
board.
That's it.
Jesus.
There you
Okay. Hey, look, that brings us to the end
Yeah.
of today's podcast. It's been lovely, Will. It's been
Yeah.
lovely speaking to you.
You've managed. You've got through. Even though you've been a bit sick, you've managed to push through.
I've pushed it out. Okay.
Jesus. Okay.
I can hear the
I think
music.
you need to go.
I think I need to go to bed. Cheers. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, everyone.
We'll see you for episode 38 very soon.
See you then.
See you then.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh la la la.